Okay, good morning and thank you for joining the Public Building Commission of Chicago's YouTube live page. My name is Patricia Montenegro, Deputy Director of Procurement here at the PBC. Today is September 23rd, 2025, and you are joining the pre-submission conference for the Construction Signage Services Solicitation PS 3099 that was issued on September 4th. We're going to go over a few housekeeping rules before we begin the pre-submission conference. Welcome. So we're going to ask everyone to make sure that their computers and cell phones are muted. When asked to speak, please press the *6 to unmute or the unmute button. Please change your screen name as James has requested with your full name and then your company name or the initials following it, as the example shows on screen. And then please add your name to the chat as well, because that's an added method of recording attendance. And then there will be various Q&A sessions throughout the presentation, so we're going to request that everyone please wait until that time to ask questions. You may also feel free to use the chat feature to ask questions. Today's agenda will go over introductions, scope of services overview, procurement details and RFP highlights, then compliance highlights, and then a final Q&A. So again, Patricia Montenegro, Deputy Director of Procurement here at the PBC, and then I'll turn it over for introductions, beginning with James Borkman.
Morning, everyone. James Borkman, PBC Procurement. Hi, Patty.
Hi.
Minnie Keys, PBC Procurement.
Good morning, everyone. Miguel Fernandez, PBC Procurement.
Good morning.
Brian Payne, PBC Communications.
Tanya Fouché, Finance.
Good morning, Patrice Dole, PBC Compliance.
Good morning, Mary Pat Witchery, Board Governance.
Okay, that is the extent of, I believe, the PBC staff. And then so we'll go down the line here with our guests as I see them on my screen. So Elmer Rhodes.
Yes, I'm here. Elmer Rose with Crossroads Printing Technologies.
Thank you. Hussein.
Hi, this is Hunesa from SMB Contracting.
Okay, I'm sorry. Are you able to change your screen name?
Yeah, sorry, I'll just change it right now. I realized it to send. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No worries. Thank you. Dan.
Hi, it's Dan Rust with Crossroads Print Technologies.
And those are all of the guests that I see. Welcome, everyone. So we're glad to have you here at our virtual pre-submission conference. Okay, so the scope of services overview, this should be very short and sweet, this pre-submission conference. The role of the selected respondent would be to essentially fabricate, deliver, and install construction signage for the project locations where work is being performed at. So essentially, PBC is a public developer and we either construct or renovate facilities, and wherever there is work, there will be, in most instances, there will be construction signage that is required for the site. And so we are requesting from signage firms that they provide signage, right, to place on the property. The term of the contract is for 3 years. with the option to extend for up to 2 additional one-year periods. A sample task order will include the letter, which will have the contract and task order number, the project name and number, and all of the other details, who the agency is for. So some of our sites, well, all of our sites will be from different clients. So essentially, whoever that client is will be displayed on the task order letter. It will also include the not to exceed amount of the services, and then will obviously be executed by an authorized commission rep and include attachments. The sample order form that will be issued with the task order letter will be the construction signage order form. And again, it'll contain details of who the contact person is at the site, project information, the type of signage that is required for the site. Typically, the size is a 4x8 by half-inch medium density overlay wood sign, but there will be, it can vary. And the image also will be provided with the order form so that you understand what all information and images will go on the site. And then there are a number of other deliverables that may or may not be included with whatever form or whatever sign we are requesting. Okay, so now we'll go into the procurement details for this solicitation. So the RFP was issued on September 4th. The pre-submission conference is obviously being held at this time. There will be a questions deadline, and we're requesting that all questions be submitted by Friday, September 26th. The submission deadline for submission of proposals will be Tuesday, October 7th by 11 a.m. So we want to make sure that your submissions hit our computers by the 11 o'clock mark. Please take into consideration this digital age where there may be delays in transmission. Oral presentations and an evaluation period for this solicitation will be conducted between October 9th and or through November 6th. And it will be presented to our Board of Commissioners at the November board meeting, which typically occurs on the second week of November. But we have not stated a date. Apologies here. All right, procurement, other procurement details, the current opportunities page. I'm sure everyone on this call is familiar with the current opportunities page. And essentially all of the information that related to this procurement will be found on that current opportunities page. And that will include the RFP document, including any forms and exhibits. It will include this pre-submission conference PowerPoint, as well as the sign-in sheets. And then it will also include any addenda. There is one already pending for this project. So ensure that you are all signed up for PBC alerts so that you can receive the latest information related to the project. Our assist agencies also have been provided the information regarding this solicitation, so you would be able to contact them should you have any require any technical assistance regarding submission of this proposal, of your proposal. There is a link here for the latest and greatest, just for reference, so that if this one is outdated or you have or you cannot get through to someone on this list here, you may click the link there. Questions deadline again, Friday, September 26th by noon. They must be submitted in writing via email to my attention at patricia.montenegro@cityofchicago.org as the sole point of contact. Addenda, none issued to date, but as stated in the earlier slide, there is one pending. All right, we'll now go over the RFQ, which I stated in a previous pre-submission conference. I know oftentimes, service providers can get a little bit overwhelmed with, a large document, right, requesting services. So we wanted to make it as clear and as concise as possible in order for you to understand and be able to provide us the documentation that we need in order to review your submission. So it includes the introduction about the PBC, includes key information regarding the procurement. It includes definitions, the scope of services. I know I went over a very just an overview of the scope of services, but the one in the RFQ in this section would go into greater detail, as well as the task order requests, the evaluation criteria, submission requirements, submission checklist, attachments, and the forms and exhibits. Anticipated contractual obligations are also included within the RFP. It will speak to what are the requirements for your work product, as well as MBE, WBE participation goals, the joint venture partnerships, and any insurance requirements. There is the cost proposal that is included also within your solicitation. And this is essentially where we're asking for the pricing to be included. So I am aware that this information here on the screen is going to need to be changed. We will have an edit to the cost proposal as we will change one of the line items, but other than that, this is the cost proposal, and you are to submit a price for each line item. If there is not a cost for that, we will need to make sure that you include a NA for not applicable, and then we also ask for additional signage services. If you have a price list or a catalog or brochure, we want to see what the discounted percentage off of those items would be for those additional signage services. Within the RFP is also your Form A for legal actions. This section will be reviewed by our counsel/risk manager. So we want to make sure that you complete it in its entirety. If there is a yes, please ensure that it's followed by a narrative, because we want to make sure we understand if you are in any experiencing any legal matters at the moment, that we want to understand what those are. Form D is your MBE, WBE participation form. We want to make sure that you include 3 projects of which you've obtained MBE, WBE participation. And then we also want to make sure that you demonstrate your commitment to reaching MBE, WBE participation goals And if you require more space, we want to always highlight that you can include additional narrative statements, but we want to make sure that you label it properly to ensure that we understand that it belongs to this section. Form E is your references form. So we want 3 separate references. We want to highlight that current employees of the PBC are not are prohibited, I should say, from being listed. We want to make sure that we understand what the experience is with other agencies. If you have a reference letter, we want to make sure that you include it, include it along with the references sheet and that you mark. Additional forms that we did not display for your visual interest are equally important, I should say, are your Form B, your disclosure affidavit, your Form C, disclosure of retained parties, and your Exhibit D, Schedule B, joint venture affidavit if you are submitting as a joint venture. Okay. And speaking of joint ventures, PBC here highly recommends and encourages joint venture partnerships. Those partnerships can be in any combination of 2 non-MBEs, 1 MBE, 1 WBE, any kind of combination of non and M or WBE firms. But if you are going to join venture, again, we want to make sure that you submit the documents that are identified in the RFP, which include your Schedule B, joint venture affidavit, your joint venture agreement, and then a certification if the firm is an M or WBE. RFP submission requirements. We want to ensure that you submit 1 complete copy of the RFP. It should contain original signatures in blue ink or digital signature. It should be tabbed and in the order prescribed in the submission requirements and checklist. It should be a PDF document, single searchable PDF form, and not a scanned copy. So it should not be an all scanned copy of the submission. It should live in its PDF format. And then if there are any scanned copies such as licenses, the MBE, WBE letters that perhaps are just scanned from the city of Chicago or Cook County, those are acceptable to be scanned so that they would merge between your PDF format and your scanned copy. The document must be labeled as follows, so that information is also available on the RFP, so you can follow that naming convention for the RFP file. And then that document should be emailed to my attention at patricia.montenegro@cityofchicago.org and pbc-procurement@cityofchicago.org. So I just want to make sure for those who have been with us for a very long time and have used other email addresses for submission, we want to highlight that these are the 2 that you should submit to, particularly the pbc-procurement@cityofchicago.org, because that is fairly new. If the file exceeds 25 MB, we want to make sure that you provide the submission via Dropbox or similar secure file sharing platform. And copies of the exhibits are not required as part of the submission. The financial statements should be 3 years of financial statements marked as confidential and emailed as a separate secure file. The submission checklist is also found in the RFP, and it's an added measure for you to ensure that you're submitting the documents in the order as prescribed. So your tab 1 is going to include your cover letter, table of contents, tab 2, tab 3 through 7, etc. Financial statements, again, are to be submitted separately. You can use that one email, and we prefer that you use the one email with the 2 documents. But again, if it exceeds the 25 MB, you can submit them separately or through a secure file. Okay, once the documents are submitted, we then turn it over to our evaluation team. So the evaluation team is formed to independently review the submissions, score them based on the weight that is assigned to each criteria, and they're ranked highest to lowest. The evaluation team discusses the findings and agrees on an overall consensus that will determine who the selected respondents will be. Selected respondents may be invited to interview. So again, that's that period between, I believe it was October 2nd for this one through November something. I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't remember. And then the final recommendation is submitted to the PBC Board of Commissioners for approval at the PBC Board of Commissioners meeting. And then the notice of award is issued to the awarded firms. The evaluation criteria consists of the following components. So your technical competence and experience of key personnel at 20%, past performance at 25%, references a weight of 3%, pricing 20%, MBE, WBE past participation 10%, financial capacity 15%, and responsiveness at 2%. And I will go over very quickly here the essentially the things that we are asking for with regards to the technical competence and experience. Please allow me here to modify my screen here. So for the technical competence, we're essentially asking for firms to demonstrate their experience in performing the high volume services that's described in the scope of services. The demonstrated experience should at minimum include the following: the administration, organization, and staffing of your firm, including the multiple offices. One moment, please, as my screen just adjusted. The technology and equipment that your firm has available to meet the needs of the PBC, the capacity to employ adequate qualified and experienced personnel, and respondents should possess all required licenses in order to perform the work. Your key personnel, we want to make sure that you submit the resumes for each of those key personnel who will be performing the work. And we want to make sure that under that category, you also give us an organizational chart. Past performance, respondents should possess verifiable experience and demonstrate past performance providing the services comparable to the services requested in this RFP. You should identify at least 5 projects performed within the last 3 years, and the projects should be performed within your licensing capacity and performed locally. We definitely want to see that experience with other government agencies as well. Okay, For the references, again, just want to make sure, highlight that you do complete the form in its entirety, that it has 3 references, that the references cannot be PBC employees. Your pricing is at 20%, so again, completing the form in its entirety would be key, right? Because it is a heavily weighted component here. Your minority and women business participation, again, is at 10%. 3 projects within the last 3 years. The financial capacity, 15%. And then responsiveness to the solicitation. So essentially, we want to make sure that we receive, right, quality, thorough, complete submissions, right? Because the evaluation team, so when we're trying to determine, right, who those selected respondents are, and we're running tight on these scores, this 2% makes a difference. And so one of the ways that we kind of set that, one of the ways that you would set that apart is how well you complied with the submission requirements, right? Making sure that it's not handwritten and, I mean, you know, and things like that. So, which we have seen before. So, okay. And there is other criteria that is listed within the RFP that is not weighted. So we want to make sure that you guys read through that and comply with that portion, and that's included in page 9. All right. So I'm sure that you guys receive PBC alerts, but we do have a new text subscription service. So we want to make sure that you register again so that you do receive the texting aspect of it, which is pretty cool. Okay, before we go on to the compliance part, are there any questions regarding the procurement aspect of it? Okay, I don't see, did I hear?
Yeah, Patricia, I think you said I need to put those questions in, I need to submit those in writing. So,
Okay,
yeah, the questions that I got, I think is the ones I need to put in writing.
okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Mhm. All right, I will turn it over to Ms. Doyle.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The current requirement for this proposal is an aggregate goal, as Patty mentioned, 30% MBE. WBE, it can be met with 1 MBE firm, 1 WBE firm, or a combination of MBEs and WBEs. We only accept certification from City of Chicago or Cook County. Also, as a reminder, some of the MBE or WBE firms may be established business, meaning they're in the process of graduating from the program. So just check and make sure, Patty, just check and make sure that the MBE or WBE that you would utilize to perform the work, if they are established business, the database will acknowledge their credit amount. If they're first year, they only receive 75% of the credit amount, second year 50%, third year 25%. So make sure when you're estimating your goal for this proposal that you're trying to establish that you receive the correct credit amount for the MBE or WBE firms. Also, make sure that they're certified in the scope of work that they will be performing within the proposal. And again, can't stress this enough because we often get times for certifications from other agencies. We only accept City of Chicago or Cook County. We do encourage joint ventures, and I know some of this information is repetitive, but it just shows the importance of the PBC. And what we like to see is not mandatory, but if you decide to do a joint venture with an MBE and or WBE, you can submit the Schedule B. The contract is not required unless awarded a contract from PBC. So you will submit the Schedule B identifying the scope of each firm and the percentages of those, the contract value. Once awarded, you will submit Schedule Ds and Cs, which are task order for those proposals once you are awarded a contract from PBC. Back to you, Patty.
Okay, thank you. Well, as mentioned, I'm the sole point of contact. Any questions should be submitted to my attention at patricia.montenegro@cityofchicago.org. I will have to say that we may choose not to answer questions, and it is at our discretion, but those questions that are received will be, if answered, will be placed in an addenda and issued to all respondents, so that everybody has the same information. So if there are no other questions, then this would conclude the pre-submission conference for the construction signage services RFP. Again, they are due on October 7th. Okay. Great. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.